Hi, it's Tony here from the Heritage Line, back to Swades Pond. Little update here, well, I'll say a little bit update. We'll see what I've been doing anyway. I've been doing bits and pieces, cracking on. Still a long way to go, but we're getting there, slowly but surely. So, let's crack on, see what I've been up to. Right guys, as you can see, I've been cracking on a little bit. I've got some bushes in. I've got some little bit of detailing down here, more bushes down the side, and I've got a couple of skips down here as well. All these little bits, you know, all these little bits of details, this is what makes the layout. Now the bushes, you've seen me do that before in a past video. This time I've done it slightly different. If you notice here, I've got a lot of soil around my bushes. I didn't want it all just full. I will be adding a few trees to it. I've got to make the trees yet, that's going to be fun. Never tried making trees before, but we'll give it a crack. Anyway, back to the layout. Bushes, it's just simply a mix of colours. Just like that, you just chuck them in a tub, mix of colours. In this case, we've got some Woodlick Scenics underbush. I've used the olive green and I've used the light green. I've also chucked in a bit of the Jarvis tree foliage. I've just broke it up a little bit, chucked a bit of that in as well. So that's how I get the mix of colours. Now in this case, what I've done is I've got some neat PVA and you just sort of drizzle it down the sides. Don't do it all in one line, do it in bits. Might do a bit there and a bit down here. Over here I've dribbled it all over. It's just a case of grab your bushes, chuck it on, let it dry. In this case I haven't quite let it dry. So, neat PVA to start with, to stick my bushes on. Then what I've done is I've added some water with a dot of washing up liquid. And I've probably done it about 50-50. Now where my soil is, I've literally gone over with 50-50 diluted PVA, and this is what I've got. It's a tub, and again, it's just a mixture of soils. On this occasion I've used some Modelling Matters peat, I believe it is. Looks a bit like that in one of my tubs. And I've also used a bit of Gauge Master Brown Scatter. These are just sandwich filler tubs, brilliant for scatters. In nature there is no such thing as just one colour, it's a mixture of colours. You can't get this bit wrong guys. So literally I put a few pinches of one colour in there, a few pinches of another. I don't even look to see what I'm grabbing. I literally just go in, grab a pinch, and then I just sprinkle it on, nice and steady, just over the gaps where my bushes are. Then what I'll do is I'll just maybe leave it half an hour, something like that, just to let it settle. Then I change my PVA glue from 50-50 probably to about 70-30, so 70% water, 30% PVA, and then I get a pipette, something like that. And as you do, like you do your ballast guys, get that into my water, and I dribble it all along the top of my bushes, all along the soil. Takes a little while, and then you just let it soak in, and then you leave it guys. Just do not touch it, and it's as simple as that. Once you get cracking, I think this bit here probably took about half an hour in all. That is, and look at the difference it's made guys, look at all the bushes. What a transformation that has actually made. So what else have I been up to? Let's have a look at some of the detail I've actually been up to then guys. I'll move you and I'll take you in and we'll have a closer look. So here's a little bit of detailing around the engine shed. I had a little bit of a dip in here, so I've done my old trick, poured a little bit of varnish in, made it into sort of like a messy, wet, muddy area. And you can see I've put a little barrel in there, I've got some old wheels in there, and just little bits and pieces like that, just a little bit of junk. It all adds. Just here, that's a little wheelbarrow that's upside down, and I've got a couple of pallet crates in there as well with a barrel behind them. Now then, the wheels, should I say, are just Pico plastic wheels. I've literally just cut them off the axle, drilled a hole in the middle because the wheels would have a hole in the middle for the axle, painted them up, chucked them on, and it's just the little bits of detail like this that actually add to the scene. And it's amazing what this detail actually makes of a layout. These are the little bits that actually start bringing the whole thing to life. So we'll have a little look at the engine shed. Right, as you can see, it's now got its BR Swades pond traction depot on there, maintenance depot. And on the end here, what you can see is I've finally put some warning signs on as well. We've got the BR logo at the top, and where my connector meets the lights, I've stuck on a first aid box and a fire extinguisher sign. And again, this makes it come to life. Right then, these skips, now this was a challenge. The skips were actually a brass etch by Scenics. If I can find an image of the fret, I'll put it up. So what I've done, because I say they were a challenge, I've folded the brass etch up because it was a flat piece of brass etch, and I thought, let's give it a go. Let's try and solder them. So I've actually soldered all the joints on this one. I needed some practice with solder. I've got one or two brass kits to build in the future. And I wanted just to see how I get on, because it's like anything, you need to build these skills up and practice them. So that's what I've done. They're actually soldered brass etch kits. They're by Scenics, and I've literally just painted them up, I've rusted them up on the inside, and I've just chucked a bit of debris in there. We've got a bit of wire in there, a few rocks in there, and barrel, and a bit of all sorts in there. Again, all these little bits add to the scene, guys. So those are what I've been up to there. And we're on to the engine shed now. Now, this is probably the part that's took the most work. Now you look at this, you think, oh, you've only put a few signs on it, Tony. Well, not quite. I've done a little bit more than that. Let's take a look. I've got some stuff inside now. Inside, at the end, that's a little spray booth. We've got some locomotive jacks, a little air compressor, shelves with lots of bits and pieces on there. Got an odd crate and some barrels. And as you can see, I've got a loco in there with my arc welder, and that is just the idea that I wanted. When you got a scene like that, it looks like that loco's being worked on, doesn't it, guys? That's just spot on. Now, the shells are by Scale Scenes. No, they're not, sorry, I tell a lie. They're actually by Scale Model Scenery. And I've done a little video, see how we get on with them. Now, to be honest, guys, my thoughts are they're extremely small, extremely fiddly. Would I do them again? I honestly don't know. I've seen some 3D printed shelving. I might take a look at that the next time I do one. But to be honest, they look quite good. I'm quite happy with them, and they've served the purpose. They've done the job. Now then, these locomotive jacks, these are actually a 3D printed kit. And I'm not going to go into too much detail about them because I'll actually show them in the next video. But for now, I'm going to crack on and we're going to show you how I built the shelves and how I detailed the shelves. Right guys, I'm currently working on some furniture for the MPD. What I've got here is the model rail scenery shells. These are the workshop shells. These are in N gauge, so they are very, very tiny. That's the code. Instructions are easy enough. Got your pictures there. Shows you how to make them. That's what they look like. Alright, this is my first attempt. These are very, very fiddly things to do. So what I'm going to do is I'll show you the first one I've made. They are very well worth making. I really think that these look the part. These are made out of cardboard. They are so fiddly to make. Now one of the hardest bits I've found is actually cutting the things out. So essentially that's what we need to cut out. Not so easy. That's how they come on the card. The only way I've found really of getting these out properly is to actually try and cut these centres out and then cut the frame out. Now these have actually got lugs on them. These have actually got a lug down both sides there, one at the bottom, and it goes all the way through. The actual main part's got one lug there, one lug in the middle and one lug there. So what I'm going to try and do is cut out these bits first. So we'll give that a go. Now then, all being well, these should come out quite straight. So there we go. So there you go. That's your cross bearers. The shells come out dead easy. So in order to build this first, we need these shells. So I've got a few of these out. There we go, so that's our 4 shells. So there we go. Right then, so I've actually got the sides cut and the shells cut. I'll try and show you what we've got here. So you've got 3 bits of shells. These are your outside units. Very, very fine. So what we need to do now is, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this into the centre one. So all these will get into the centre one. I'm not even going to attempt to line it up with the ends yet. I'm just going to glue the centre ones, let them dry a little bit, and then we'll put the ends on as well. So we'll see how we get on with that. Right guys, there is no easy way of doing this. This is just so fiddly. So there's one of my frames. What I've got here, I'm using a cocktail stick. That is how tiny. I'm just going to put a little blob in the middle and try and hit each runner like that. All I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and just level it on the shelves a little bit. There we go. They're that level. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave them a couple of minutes now. I want those to set, and then we'll have a go at putting these ends on. So we'll give that a few minutes and then we'll come back to it. Right, we're now going to have a crack at putting on the ends. go. That's one end on. Right, so we flipped it around. Try and put a bit of glue onto this one. Right, there we go. That's the other end done now. So we're going to let this dry again. Then all we've got left to do is put the top shelf on and put the cross bracings on. So we'll let that dry and then we'll come back and we'll do that. Right, I'm going to let that set now. Then all we've got left to do is put the cross bracings on. Right then, we're on the last part now. I'm going to cut out these cross bracings. Right then, so we now have 2 cross bracings and we have our little shelves. So all we've simply got to do now is glue the cross bracings onto the back. Right then, so we've actually got the shelves finished. Just to give you an idea what sort of size it is, that's a 20p piece, and that's the size of the shelving. Very, very tiny. Like I said before, there's one I made earlier. It's a little bit rickety, but once that's painted up and it's in the actual shed, I'll get a few items on the shelves. I think that'll actually look quite nice. So I think they are worth persevering. They are very fiddly, very awkward, but they are nice. Right guys, as you can see, I've been doing a little bit of detailing now. I've added some stuff to the shelves. As you can see, have a closer look. And I'll show you what I've added. What I find is that in model railway, especially tiny stuff like this, it's more of a representation of what you put on. So it is that tiny. The little scrap bits here, they're just offcuts off a bit of sleeper painted up. The actual tins, you could say, at the top, these bits here, they're 1mm fibre optic cable that I had scrapped from my last project, just simply painted up. And these that I'm actually using to represent all the boxes is just plain and simple MDF. I've cut a strip like that. And then what you can do is just cut off with a sharp knife little boxes. It's basically there's little layers that run across. So what I do, and it's very tiny, you can actually just split it down into different sizes. Make sure you get it the right way. But you'll notice it starts to split itself when you cut small bits. So then you end up with a few little boxes like that. And you can do what you want with them. You can stain them, steal them, whatever. It's just a case of gluing them onto the shelf. I use fibre optic for my cans. Another thing, bit of round plastic rod would do. Maybe a cocktail stick cut down, anything like that. You're really just representing a shape. That's all you're doing, just so it looks like it's got stuff on the shelves.